I think that these structural flaws in the end in the system will ultimately result in a change. And the rise of China, the relative rise of China, will also result in a change. So you have these two forces. And the question I'm trying to raise is, do we get ahead of that change, or do we help manage that change and affect some sort of rebalancing of the system? And to be absolutely clear, when I say we, I'm talking not about I'm talking about the central banks, the public side, as opposed to the private side coming up with an entirely different decentralized system. Mm-hmm. So this is partly where we may part company at that point on the issue.
I'm all in favour of choice.
Yeah, exactly, in favour of choice, but just to be clear.
Thank you. So can I ask the other members of the panel if they share the governor's analysis in the speech, because I feel confident you've probably read it. If you haven't, do say, because I wouldn't want to unfairly grill you on something you haven't read. But Dr. Haldane, do you broadly share the governor's Freudian slip there?
I've read it. I've read it twice actually, and I do. Yes, I mean it's. Interestingly, I doubt there's very much strong pushback on the diagnosis. This asymmetry has been here for quite some while, at least since the breakdown of Bretton Woods. And I agree with the governor that those tensions have become more acute of late, as many economies have become in some ways more dollarized, at least in terms of the debt that they issue. There's no question that the one solutions, and the governor floated one in his speech, the synthetic hegemonic currency.
Just trips off the tongue, doesn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so a little while back, that this was one we didn't actually speak much about. To be honest with you, this was a little bit of an outlier. But the idea here is to have people transacting, banks and firms transacting across borders using a synthetic or universal currency of some kind, right? Some kind of blended currency. Of course, I say that it wasn't spoken about much until recently because Governor Carney made some very interesting remarks. I think, I don't know how many of you actually saw these. I thought they were quite fascinating, actually. Just a few weeks ago, proposing basically this, right? So, and I suspect there's no accident that this work was done end of last year. But of course, he went much further, and also, if there's a third piece of reading I can encourage you to do, is actually read that speech. It's quite long, but really quite fascinating. Where, well, he is talking about the replacement of the U.S. dollar in international trade because of the sort of imbalances that creates given the shifts in the global economy, and rather replacing it over a long period of time. He did stress that over a long period of time. Replacing it with some kind of what he called a synthetic hegemonic currency, SCH. I think it's going to go down in history, right? Synthetic hegemonic currency. So the idea here is that there is a new exchange, in fact, essentially an issuer, so presumably some kind of multilateral organization of some kind, that central banks are able where essentially they're able to buy this universal CBDC for their own local currencies. Now, like I said, no deep analysis has been done of this, but straight away you can see that there's a FX risk here because if central bank A buys using its local currency, buys some of that blended currency, well, over a couple of days those rates shift and so on. So there's questions about how to manage that risk. Anyway, regardless of that, the idea then is that if a bank A can essentially buy from via the central bank, I should say, this universal settlement currency and use that for all its cross-border transactions, right? Things become, at that level, very, very simple, right? Where, again, you have to have this transaction across different ledgers, but essentially, you have one single claim that can be transacted across different ledgers.
Collateralized stablecoin. That means tokenized assets whose value are expected to remain constant in some unit. So if it's $1 stablecoin and you have 10 of it, you're expecting its value to remain stable at $10. These assets have a backing asset, in this case XRP. That means that there is something that is supposed to guarantee its value. Now, in some of those systems, you can actually redeem the stablecoin for the backing asset. In some, you can't. What's interesting about this proposal is that the stable coins are perfectly liquid to XRP at face value on the ledger. So in other words, if you have a dollar in a dollar stable coin designed on the system, what you have is a $1 claim on XRP enforceable by the ledger's payment mechanics. And the reason that that's important is with some other stablecoin designs, if the stablecoin isn't popular, it won't necessarily be liquid. If it's not listed on an exchange, if it can't easily be deposited and withdrawn, it won't be that useful. By the design of this system, the stablecoins can be offered through the on-ledger decentralized exchange, and they spend like XRP. So you don't need to find some way to make them liquid. You can just spend them right on the ledger. And of course, they can be pegged to anything that someone can provide a price feed on. Fiat currencies are probably what people typically think of, like dollars and euros or whatever. But they can also be pegged to things like stocks or precious metals or any other value source. As long as someone can provide a price feed for it, you can have a stablecoin pegged to that value. To redeem a stablecoin for XRP, we'll have to modify the IOU to XRP order book logic. Essentially, one synthetic offer will be injected into that order book that represents redemption against the collateral pool. That will redeem against the least collateralized positions first, eliminate them, and sort of cleaning out the junk. If there are reserve funds, it can even redeem against positions collateralized below 100%. But if there's no reserve, then you can't redeem against under collateralized positions. So, for example,
Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Recreating a virtual global gold standard would be a criminal act of monetary amnesia.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and guys, please like and subscribe and spread this all over social media. It is imperative that we get back to learning finances and understand how the world really works, because once we understand how the world really works, we understand that everything is planned out. Now, I want to thank those who purchased the book, Cryptoteacher NWO book. Also, those who donated to the Cash App, Patreon, much love. Also, those who purchased from the store, much love. You have the store popping. Now, guys, of course, we're going to get into Bitcoin and cryptos first. Now, guys, right now we have Bitcoin steady. Of course, XRP is taking a leg up. I went over this in my videos, guys, several times as far as XRP. Remember, if Bitcoin stays above that 10,000, XRP should be in the range of 26 to 29 cents. Remember, it has to keep its position in market cap. So don't forget that, guys. There's no bull run here, just getting back to its position as far as market cap is concerned. But we do see Bitcoin settling down and Tether settling down. How do we know that? Volume. Volume is starting to decrease. What do we have coming up? Yes, we have, of course, CME and BitMEX. So, guys, we know we're going to take a leg lower. Just like I said, only thing we're doing right now is making higher lows. They haven't turned the switch on, guys. Nothing is turned on. So we're definitely not going to be in this big bull run. So there's no hype here. Just the fact is that, of course, XRP is going to get back into its position. Now, basically, Bitcoin volume level, I think, was about 16 billion. Spiked all the way up to 35. Tether was around 22 billion. Spiked all the way up to 44 billion. And then remember, they snuck $1 billion into Tether the same day they announced the banks can have custody. So do not get distracted, guys. Stick with the fundamentals. We know stable coins control the market. When we're below 99.9, what happens? We go up. When we're above that dollar, we go down. That means it is using it as liquidity. That's it. That's all stable coins is. Now, guys, we're going to get into videos. So, basically, we know Carney is the governor of England. So, we know he takes direction from who? The Rothschild's. You have that right. So, basically, if you read my book, you understand the Rothschild's, you understand the Oppenheimers, you understand JP Morgan. I'll go over it plain and simple for you. But the fact is that basically we have Carney. I'm not saying Carney is not a smart man. I'm not saying that. But guys, we have David Schwartz saying that, of course, stable coins using a synthetic IOU coin. And the fact is, all of a sudden, Carney, year and a half ago, about that, talks about using a synthetic stablecoin, the same as what David Schwartz is talking about. That is not coincidence. The fact is that basically, of course, like I stated, Ripple is nothing but a branch of the actual government. It's part of the central bank. That's all it is. So don't forget about the Executive Order Trump, Executive Order 13772. But the fact is, guys, we clearly see PolySign is going to have, these trillions of dollars in custody, and then they're going to use that ledger to move money around. The U.S. dollar, not money. The U.S. dollar is an IOU. XRP is going to be that IOU. They're just going to be using the XRP ledger to move the real assets around, guys. That's all it is. The United States dollar is not money. Of course, your gold and silver is money. But getting into that, which a lot of XRP fans think that the gold reserve currency is coming back. It's not. The fact is that basically, of course, like Carney said, we're not going to go back to that. They're not going to give gold in the hands of the people. That makes no sense. Central banks are going to keep that gold for their security, not for yours. So the fact is, we're not going to go back to a gold or silver standard. It's not happening. But, guys, I just wanted to play those videos so therefore you can see when Carney speaks, he's speaking from the Rothschild'S. Same way when the president of our United States, Trump, speaks, he's speaking from the New World Order. I've been over there who writes his speeches, and I'm going to go over that later on the topic of Kodak, the stock that went up today. But getting over into crypto news, guys, we have CME Bitcoin futures at an all-time high. Now, of course, guys, that can be a good thing or a bad thing. We'll see at the middle of the month whether we dump. Now, basically, we have Grayscale funds grew $1 billion over 11 days. We had box smash records 2 days straight as far as with the futures. Now, guys, remember, just like I said, that can be a good or a bad thing. This depends on what happens next month. We have Monex, U.S. subsidiary training station to launch crypto lending service. So, guys, I've been over the lending as far as with crypto is concerned. Basically, we have eToro issue debit cards in the UK. So, guys, we slowly seeing the reason why they want that. Of course, if I'm a consumer, I'm used to using debit cards. So, of course, we go from debit cards to basically just the phone. And then, of course, once that turn on that 5G, you'll just be using your hand or something to scan. We know the actual goal of the New World Order. Now, Dutch regulator approves tokenized real estate crowdfunding platform. So, guys, this is something that I've really been looking at. So, basically, if you actually look at real estate, commercial real estate. So, basically, now, if you can't afford to spend, $500,000 for a piece of real estate, now you'll be able to put in $20,000 and you'll have a portion of that real estate deal. So it'll make real estate deals a whole lot easier. So basically, that's definitely, I know they said that a couple years ago, but now we see that being tested out. Now, we also had local Bitcoin partners with Elliptic. We know Elliptic, of course, basically the security with XLM. We have Polkadot raises $43 million in a private token sale. Now, guys, we know Polkadot and the DeFi is going to be humongous. Getting over into world news, guys, we have Goldman Sachs going over the U.S. dollar, saying it's going to use this, lose its reserve currency. Guys, of course, we know this is all planned. I've been over this in several of my videos. A long time ago, back in 1833, we know Anthony Sutton has been over this. So, guys, this is all a planned demolition to take, of course, what America down. So, guys, just make sure that you are paying attention, investing. That's why I said it's very imperative we get back to understanding how finances work, because this is a planned demolition. So, of course, what? Rise China, the rise of China. Now, getting into the last news, guys, we have Kodak soars 500%. Now, of course, we had Trump speak of Kodak yesterday, saying that Kodak is going from films to actually producing pharmaceutical ingredients, which makes no sense whatsoever. But guys, let me read exactly what he said. And this is my apologies to my Patreon people, because you know I normally post something like this. But unfortunately, I didn't read this. I was enjoying being with my son. But the fact is that this is his exact words. And we know who writes his speeches, the New World Order. So it says, our 33rd use of Defense Production Act will mobilize Kodak to make a generic active pharmaceutical ingredients. So 33rd use, guys, we know that is Freemasonry. We know this also is tied to COVID, 33. I've been over that in my video. Please watch my 33 video about the C word. So guys, make sure that we are conscious of the world that we are living in. Everything is planned out. But guys, that's all I have for you. Don't forget about the books, Cryptoteacher NWO book. Also, guys, the cryptos, if you're new to crypto, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Also, if you're sitting at home, don't forget about those stocks. The C word, the biotech stocks, don't forget about that. And then also, guys, everybody's sitting at home getting the free money. It has been extended a little bit. So don't forget about, what are they doing? Sitting at home, drinking, smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and y'all have a wonderful day.